This is a game against myself, the Wizard, and a long-standing player called Taktixx. It's been an ongoing rivalry for many years. Really good game, this one. If you've got some time to watch it all the way through, I suggest you do. There's some great tactics, excuse the pun, used in this game. So I'm just going to watch this game and sort of do some commentary over the top of it. So I'm playing the black and the green army. We're playing in this game in the forest environment. I'm just shifting my board around, trying to get a view that I like, which is typically in about this position here. And that white square there where my cursor is kind of what I want to have visibility on. So I start always with a trap line opening. So this is typically my first two moves. You get 2 moves per turn, obviously, in 4 kings. It can be 1 from either army or 2 from the same. It can be 1 from either army or 2 from the same. So again, setting up for a trap line on that white diagonal there. So Taktixx has now just set up a trap line himself, which is all about that yellow pawn there. Because that yellow pawn's tracking this way, and the white pawns are tracking this way, that yellow pawn has got a forward diagonal to that white pawn there. So if you put something that white pawn, or put something else in that position there, that's basically on a forward diagonal to that yellow pawn. So if anything lands there, yellow pawn would take it, and then it's committed to going to the back line of that outer terrace. So that could then get an early promotion to videos on trapline openings in the No Thrill series on our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about that. But it's a really good opening to, I guess, to combat off. I always like to get my white bishops in front of my my front line, I guess. There you go, they're now in front of the front line, so they're at my disposal. So I'm still very much in opening phase at this stage, as is Taktixx. So now he's set up 2 trap lines with very similar sort of openings to what I typically do in regards to that white line there. He's got a white pawn and a yellow pawn, which is the trap line pawns. So Taktixx has got his white rook parked on the same row behind his yellow pawn there, and he's got that set up into a situation that we call a gate. So if I was to land on that row, he would just have to move his yellow pawn out of the way, because it's obviously moving forward, and he could strike with his rook. So I've got to be careful about landing anything there. I've put my bishop, similar sort of arrangement, from a hidden attack behind that pawn, because that diagonal is open to the king. So I don't want to blow that, cause a check only for him to block it, but I want to have it sitting there. I might as well have my bishop sitting there, because if anything strays within striking range of that pawn, I can move it forward, sit it on the pawn, sit it on whatever strays. And that's basically causing 2 issues with 1 move. So they're going to have to move something away from the pawn that I've just moved onto them. They've got to have to get themselves out of check, and then I can just put something on something else in that same turn and cause what we call a 3 into 2. 3s into 2s will win you the game. When you're playing 4 kings, you want to be looking for opportunities to create 3s into 2s all the way through, because that is what will win you the game. So Taktixx comes in here quite early and takes this pawn, which is a vulnerable pawn because obviously my knight can't get to it, nor can my rook. He's threatening my queen in that position. So that's sort of blown a bit of defense away from my pawn line. And the frustrating thing here is I can't actually get to it. I have to sort of just let that one go. You know, I was looking to see if I could block it in, but he's got two escapes. He can do an L shape to the right, or just let that one go. You know, I was looking to see if I could block it in, but he's got two escapes. He can do an L shape to the right or an L shape to the left. Either way, he can double hop his way out to safety. So I kind of just had to let that go. But really early in the game, it kind of rattled me a little bit for some reason. Have to get my queen out of there. And you can see I'm just sort of undecided as to what to do. So quite often in these cases I think, oh well, I'll meet knight for knight. At least that way it'll restrict the amount of squares that my enemy can jump around and harass me. So hopefully best situation of a bad situation is I can force them to retreat, which is what happens here. But that's perfect. It was really well played by Taktixx. Saw an opportunity, jumped in, dealt with it, took the pawn. That's blown a permanent hole in my defence for the rest of the game, and quite early into the game. And there was no need to leave that knight hanging around. It's not a territory game for kings. It's an opportunity game. It's a hustle. So it's in and out, which is what he's done, and he did it really well. So Taktixx was actually really active with his knights. He's very good with his knights. I know that. Excuse me. So he was very active with his knights on this game, and it proved to be quite fruitful. As you'll see coming up, he's really getting on top of me with an attack. That knight that I'm playing with there, it's just in a bad spot based on where his white knight is around the corner. I really need to get that bishop there out of the way so I can sort of kind of get that knight out, because at the moment it's sitting on an open line where someone can just stick a rook or a queen, rook preferably, because it's a little bit lower value, and come straight in there if I'm not careful and take that knight. They've got no pawn in front of it. The thing's starting to heat up a little bit in the middle of the board. But although I haven't completely set up my trap line yet, I've still got a black pawn right down there next to my queen, right in front of the turret there, which I need to move forward. And get your opening, you've got to kind of have to set it up as you react to what your opponent's doing. So again, going to meet that knight. Theory there for me is just to try and cut down their angles and their ability to get in, but it's fair to say at this point I'm getting a little bit nervous because Taktixx was starting to sort of show that he's going to be playing a knight's game, and he's always dangerous when he does that. He's got a white knight tucked around the corner there that can jump in again at any point. And with two knights, with that yellow knight there as well, if I'm not careful, he's going to end up putting me in a two-move check where I'm going to have two moves to get out of check and also threaten my queen or something like that. So I'm a little bit uncertain at this point. Kind of felt I've stumbled a little bit onto the ropes, even though it's really early days. So yeah, just paced out that double hop for that knight, so I'm aware that that yellow knight can do a double hop and actually reach my rook in the corner. But it's going to require 2 moves in order to get that out of there, and I should have probably done that, although again I've kind of not future-proofed myself early enough. So I've got this other yellow knight in the corner there, black army. I was going to bring that yellow bishop in, but I decide no, I'm going to move that pawn forward. But in doing that, that opens up a double hop attack on my queen from the knight, so I have to get that out of the way. So that's my 2 moves, and in hindsight watching this game, probably wasn't the best, because you'll see what happens here. Taktixx straight away comes in and takes my rook. So first off, jumps into an opportunity to put me in check, which is a great move, because again that knight's totally safe there, but what it's doing is it's putting my king in check, but it's also threatening my queen. And then on the second move comes in and takes my rook. To put me in check, which is a great move, because again that knight's totally safe there, but what it's doing is it's putting my king in check, but it's also threatening my queen. And then on the second move comes in and takes my rook. So that was kind of two blows that I wasn't really expecting or kind of used to this early in the piece. So at this stage I'm getting more rattled. But I have to get both kings out of check, so I'm going to lose my queen. So it's a brilliant move. So you can see that yellow knight on my green army is putting my green king in check through a double hop, and that yellow knight in my black army is putting my black king in check. So I have to get both of those out. I have to move both of those kings, but that yellow knight is also threatening my queen there, and I'm not going to be able to do anything about that. So I've just lost a rook, I'm about to lose a queen. I mean, he'll lose as he's just going to have to try and pull back the queen and a rook during the game, maybe, you know, because I mean the thing to remember here is you're gonna get attacked. We call them phases. You've got so many pieces, you have multiple phases or multiple opportunities to attack, and so when you're getting attacked, the trick is, or the key is, just don't panic. You know, you're gonna have your time. You're just gonna defend really well, make the right decisions. At some point you'll diffuse that attack and hopefully take those attacking pieces out. So then that'll be it. That'll be the end of their phase, and then you get on with the phase. And you know, all going well, you'll get a bit of a roll going on, and you'll start leveling it out again. So I'm trying to remind myself at this point not to panic. Although it was quite frustrating. So when he comes, he takes that queen, as he should. Not to panic. Although it was quite frustrating. So when he comes, he takes that queen, as he should. And he's going to have to get that knight out, otherwise on my turn I'll jump my knight out of the way and take his knight with my rook. So he does that. Jumps it to safety. So now I've got to make a decision on, okay, I can't let that yellow knight that's just taking my queen get away with it, but I don't really have a huge amount of options. I've got, I can move my pawn out of the way, that one there, and get that into a trap line position, and then take his knight with my queen. I can move that pawn out the way, a yellow bishop on that same diagonal behind his white pawn. So in doing that, I'm thinking to myself, he's probably going to take my bishop. He's going to play the numbers at this point because he's up. So you know, you might as well keep rolling with the numbers, and that's exactly what he does. Moves his pawn out the way, exposes the attack, comes in and takes that. So bishop for bishop, I guess. But again, he's forcing me to move my pieces all over the place. Fortunately, in order to get that bishop, the pawn that I have to move, I actually wanted to move anyway because I need to get it into position for that trap line. So I might as well do that now. So, and then take that. So that's kind of the end of that phase. Although he's still got a yellow knight right on the edge of my green army, I've got to deal with that. I've taken a bit of a hit, so it's a bit of a regroup at this point. But yeah, first phase, I've taken a bit of a hit, so it's a bit of a regroup at this point. But yeah, first phase, very nicely played by Taktixx. Some really smart moves. Get out. Recognise pieces that he could take without me doing too much about it. You know, it's all very well being able to defend a piece from a hidden attack. You know, I'm like where you can move something out the way and then strike from behind it if something comes in, but you still need 2 moves to do that. So if your opponent keeps you in check, then one of your moves has to be getting your king out of check, so you don't have the 2 moves to execute on a defense. So he's done that really well. I'm kind of, what's going through my head at the moment is I've got to get a phase going on. I've got to start putting some pressure on. At the moment, I'm in the first half of the game, hunkering down and defending as tightly as I can until I can take care of the attack, and then typically speaking, there's an opening and I'll be able to get in sort of midway through the game and pull it back. But you just never know how it's going to go. So yeah, putting the bishop there for no other reason other than just to keep his knight moving, and then maybe hope that he might make a mistake. He's responding with, I mean, he's up on numbers, so I know that if I leave that black bishop there now that he's responded with his, even though it'll be bishop for bishop, he'll do it because he's up on numbers. So. At this point I'm thinking, oh god, if you've forgotten to move your knight, that'll be great. At this point I'm thinking, oh god, if you've forgotten to move your knight, that'll be great, but no, he hadn't. He just stepped it away, 1 and 2. Resetting. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't really want to lose my bishop. I'm certain that he'll come in and take that, given the fact that he's up on numbers. So I'm pretty sure I moved this out the way. I haven't actually watched the full replay of this yet, so I'm just trying to remember what happened. This game was played last night. Yeah, I did move it out the way. And check up, and all I have to do is block it, when I could have done that way better. I could have opened that check up by moving that pawn onto something if it strayed within striking distance, and then that's the makings of a 2 into 3, or 3 into 2 should I say. But anyway, whatever was going through my head, like I said, I think I was a bit rattled at this point. So I'm looking at my army and I'm thinking, okay, how many knights do we have each? And I think, okay, well, we've got 3 knights each. He's got 3, I've got 3. He's on a roll with them. He's very confident with them at the moment. So I would suspect that I decide to march out and face his knights off, giving him an opportunity to take me, but I'll be taking him as well, and that's exactly what I've done. So protected by my pawns, and it's basically saying, yep, you can take me. And to be honest, I'd be totally happy if he does, because that gets rid of one of my knights, gets rid of one of his knights. We're both left with 2 knights, but at least I've completely neutralised the end of that first phase, I guess, because that knight's still hanging around from that first phase, and it's causing me a bit of grief. So he's either going to, either way, I'm now starting to make him react to me. So what's he done there? He's come in and taken my bishop for his bishop. It's fine, it's bishop for bishop, and there you go, he's backed off with his knight. So great result either way, either back off or let's exchange. And that's quite often the case if you're playing someone that's really good with their knights, you know, and they're right on the edge of your front line, just meet them with your knights, meet them out the front, and if they take you, fine, knight for knight. If they're a better player with knights than you are at when you're learning the game, sometimes it's best to get them out of the equation. Or you'll force them to march away, and then they're starting to react to you, which is always good. Sometimes it's best to get them out of the equation. Or you'll force them to march away, and then they're starting to react to you, which is always good. Not sure why he moved his rook there. To provide me with a little bit of an opportunity to get into that black square with a double hop from my black knight. Not too sure if I take that up or not. Possibly not. Oh, so that's a 3 into 2. So now I'm putting his king in check for a double hop. I'm threatening his queen, and then I'm doing that with just one piece, one move, which is the knight, and then I put a bishop on his yellow knight. So that's a 3 into 2. This is my opportunity to potentially pull that queen back, because he's got 2 queens currently on the board. And he's got his king out of check, so I'm going to take that queen. That's going to put me 2 knights on the board, and that'll give him 3 knights. So he is up on knights, but I've balanced out the queens. Obviously he's going to lose. I'm going to lose that knight in doing that, but that's fine. Now what I'm going to be relying on is, now it's starting to get sort of midway into the game, knowing Taktixx very well and how he plays. Quite often when that mental fatigue starts kicking in a little bit, there are mistakes that are made, or opportunities that I can capitalise on. So I'm just hopeful that I'll bring that other knight back level as the game goes on, but I've certainly taken care of the queen. So we've got a queen each, getting care of the queen. So we've got a queen each. He's got 1, 2, 3 rooks. I've got 1, 2, 3 rooks. I've got 3 knights on the board. So we're 3 knights. Yeah, I do have 3 knights. So I've evened that up. Sorry, I thought I was a knight down, but that was when he came in and took my queen, of course. So that's evened that up. Yeah, so it's starting to sort of level out a little bit. He's got 4 rooks and I've got 3, so I'm a rook down. I'm down on bishops. I'm only down on 1 bishop though. Actually no, I'm not. No, we're level on bishops at this point as well. So yeah, apart from the rook starting to level up, so although Taktixx looks like he has been the major aggressor so far, which he has. Taktixx looks like he has been the major aggressor so far, which he has. It's still relatively even at this point. And that's the whole, I guess, the whole point, and not to panic. It feels like you might be getting a hammering, but you've got a lot of pieces, and you've got a lot of jabs and blows that you can have yourself to pull that back. So again, I've gone and met him, said, okay, I can get you with a double hop if you don't move out of here. Yep, you can get me if you want, and then it'll be knight for knight again, and that'll again just take out another one of his attacking pieces. As far as I'm concerned, he's got a plan with his knights because he's down on my front line, or my back line if you like. So if he wants to go knight for knight, I'd rather neutralise that because I'm neutralising his attack, and you know, we're even at the end of it. So he's done that. That's fine because that's, and you know, we're even at the end of it. So he's done that. That's fine because that's going to enable me to come in and take him. I have to be careful in this scenario though, because, and I did check this out when I did it, but the only piece that can take that knight is the king at this point. And of course, if he had a piece that he could back that knight up with, so if he had another knight in the vicinity, you've got to be real careful because, sorry, let's adjust the board, because obviously you can't put your king in check. So if he had a piece that was protecting that yellow knight, I wouldn't have been able to take it with my king. Which would have been frustrating. Try and subtly put it there and quickly take his knight to try and draw his attention away. The reason I'm subtly putting it there is because I'm on that knight there and I'm hoping he that score a little bit. If he forgets about that knight, I'm going to end up being a knight up. It's a little bit of poker kind of style getting played there, you know. If you've got a move that you want to set up, before you go and do that move and then think about your second move, try and think about a bold second move that you can do straight after that draws their attention in, and then they might not focus too much on that subtle move that you've done, which you're setting up a secret attack. So he's put his bit, so he's missed it, which is perfect. So I'm thinking, sweet, I'll come in there and I'll take that knight, and that's a big. He would not have been happy with that at all. It's a great exchange. I'm going to lose my bishop, but bishops are worth 3 points and 4 kings. Knights are worth 7 because of the double hop, lethal. I've got to get that my knight out of there because he's got a rook on it. But that's fine. I'm a knight up now, so that's a strong position to be in. So I'm thinking for now I don't have a plan for the knight. I'm just going to tuck it behind my front line and keep it safe. I don't want to be getting it chased around. I need to regroup for a bit and then starting an attack myself. So I put my knight there, try and try and own some of the center of the board. Continue to move it forward to open that gate up and about a strike with my rook. So that's a bit of sort of housekeeping again. Don't have a lot on at this point, so I'm moving to create opportunity. Develop, if you like. I'm surprised that green knight is still on my back line there on an open file, and it hasn't been threatened by a rook or anything like that at this point. I think I must have been thinking that same thing at that point. I think I better do something about that now and get that out of there. I've got to be careful. I think I must have been thinking that same thing at that point. I think I better do something about that now and get that out of there. I've got to be careful with at the moment that green knight that I've got the cursor on is on the same diagonal as the one I just moved. That's a big no-no, because if someone puts a bishop on that diagonal, it's threatening both your knights at the same time, so you kind of want to get it off diagonals, or same diagonals. And basically jumping in to sort of try and fend and block this other white knight coming in. He's only got one. All I got to do is take this other one out, and I'm a knight up. And if you've got someone who's one knight, even if they've got one knight and you've got no knights, at the end of the game you're in a much better position to close it out. Depending on how you play. I mean, if you're really good with your rooks, or if you've got a couple of queens, then you're in a good position to close. Queens are lethal. He's just set up a hidden attack with his bishop behind his rook, so I need to get my queen out of the way, otherwise I'll be losing that. Again, this is more about getting in there and causing your opponent to react. I didn't think this one through completely well, because my plan was if he didn't move his rook, I'll take it. But of course, his other white rook is on the other side, and we have the fact it's an interesting block from his pawn. Now again, I messed up here, because I should have addressed the fact that he's got a white pawn right on my back line, but I was a little bit focused too much on these rooks and thinking, oh, I can't actually take that rook, that's a bugger, what do I do? So I had to basically get it out of there. Basically get it out of there. on the board each. And a queen. What's he got? 1, 2, 3 rooks. I've got 1, 2, 3 rooks. So at one point I was slightly up, but he's just come in and taken that knight. It was a bit of a hit. The only way for me to take it is to take it with my pawn. I can't let him get away with it, so I had to do that. It's busted my line open again. Of course, what that's done is I've had to move my king away from check from that knight. And what it's done is it's left that white pawn that's on my back terrace unattended, and you'll see that that starts to cause me all sorts of grief. In fact, it's a nice little manoeuvre that he pulls off here. Wasn't a huge amount I can do about it. I knew he was going to come in. White pawn, take my black pawn. White pawn, take my black pawn. And he's done a great job of keeping one of my moves in check. Because if he hadn't have done that, I could have taken his pawn with my black pawn, opening up my rook to go all the way down the end of the board and take his rook, as opposed to having to move my king and then take his pawn. But I probably shouldn't have taken his pawn. Again, in hindsight, that was after I did that, I thought, wow, that's a mistake, because all he's going to do now is come in with his rook, take my rook, and then his knight will take my other rook, which is exactly what he does. And so that's a big hit. I lost a knight to one rook, a knight, and a queen and a bishop, and he's right on my queen, right on my king, sorry, staring down a checkmate. So I've got a future proof here. I know I'm going to get cornered. As much as I want to get on and start attacking, I need to get better future proof options, because I know I'm going to be all sorts of pain shortly. But at the same time, I'm thinking I have got to get an attack going on here. I've got one shot basically at this point, one phase. You know, even though I've got a rook, a knight, a bishop, and a queen, you know, that's pretty much that could be two phases. But at this stage of the game, when he's right on top of my king, he's going to keep me in check now with that knight for as long as he can, to sort of take a move away from me every turn. I'm thinking to myself, I have to get an attack going on. I've got to start attacking his king and seeing what I can do. Because if he attacks somebody else's king, chances have to get an attack going on. I've got to start attacking his king and seeing what I can do. Because if he attacks somebody else's king, chances are you're going to get opportunities will just pop up out of that will, you know, give you the opportunity to have 3 into 2. So you've got 2 rooks down there. That's never good. Plus a knight. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. Put it in there. And what was I thinking there? I was thinking I was going to attack those pieces, but then the hesitation. I'm going through what's going through my head is no. When you make a decision, it's time to close. It's time to close. So it's all about the king at that point. So that's why I kind of changed tack, and I thought, okay, I'm going to start putting him in check. That's going to give him only one move to respond each time. I think that's what I do. You can kind of see that. I think I just moved that forward onto that black diagonal. Right, it's not what I do. I don't quite know what I'm up to there. Gave me a bit of breathing space there. So I think this is the point where I go, okay. And that's right. So what I'm setting up here is I think this is the point where I go, okay. That's right, so what I'm setting up here is I'm giving myself an opportunity to create a 3 into 2 here, because what I've done there is I put my knight, I put my queen there, which has blocked my transit square, but as soon as I move that queen off that transit square, that's going to create a check on his king. It's going to open up the double hop, and so I'm going to be able to move my queen potentially right onto something else, and then at the same time open up that double check. So with one move I'm going to create 2 hazards, if you like, and then of course I've hopefully got a second move then, providing I'm not kept in check, to put on something else. So it all depends on what he does here. I know that I'm definitely not out of the woods yet. I think he's going to go and put me in check. Yep, of course it does. Alright, I'm going to decide to go and actually take that rook while I can. Still set up that same scenario where I've got a hidden attack. If I move my queen, that's going to expose that knight's double hop, range of a double hop, and put the king in check. So I believe that's a checkmate. So that's a checkmate. I'm going to stick that into the turret. Oh no, no it's not. That's right, I thought it was, but I've got to block the transit square, which is what we call a black hole. It's forcing me to actually do something that is only temporary. It's a horrible thing. It's basically that knight's double hop there. If that square's free, it can attack that square, but if I block it, see now he's taken it, it's put him back in check. So that's a black hole. They're always horrible. They force you to do things you don't necessarily want to do, but that's the game. You can't ever expose your king to check. You've always got to. If I'm not careful, I'm going to get. I'm in the vicinity of a double check when my kings are too close, so I've got to be. I'm mindful of that. So at this point, I'm thinking, oh my lord, this game is. It's just about all over. You know, he's going to get this king in check. If I'm not careful, I'm going to be in double check. He's going to get that black king in checkmate in no time at all. He's got 2 rooks and a knight. I've got to attack. I'm thinking I have to attack his king. That I believe is a checkmate. So Morpheus the AI is thinking it through. And so one king down. One more king to go. So is there any hope, I'm thinking to myself. The way his king's positioned, it's very close to those two pawns on that back line. If I can tuck him behind that, he's going to be at risk of being in a position where I'm going to force him to make two moves to get out of check. And if I can do that, then I can start picking off some of these pieces, and primarily his knight, because that's my big opportunity, is to try and get that knight off the board, so I'm at least a knight up. That would give me some type of advantage. So that's check. So that's check. Of course, I'd only have one move, because one of my on that particular turn, because one of my moves was to hand the king over, and then my other move can only be from the opposite coloured army just for that turn, and then it goes back to normal. So there you go, starting to harass my my other king, so that's not good. So that's a two mover. He's got no choice but to move his pawn and then step onto that black square, because obviously the queen's covering that back rank. My knight's covering through single hops and double hops the files. In fact, so is the queen. So there you go, that's one move. It's two moves. So I'm now thinking to myself, cool, if I can get him in another two mover, I should be able to position to get that knight. And that's why it's the right decision when it's time to close. Attack the king, attack the king, attack the king, and then, and see what happens. Certainly it helps when you've got things like knights on the board. But now I've got to try and work out in my minute allocation, so I've got 38 seconds to go. I've got to try and work out how the two mover. That queen's protected by my, there you go, that's a two mover. That's what I figured out. Now so he's going to have to move that pawn again to get himself out of check, and now I can put that bishop onto my onto that knight. Yep, I'm going to need two moves to do it, but I'm going to have it once he's completed his turn, which he can only make two moves to get himself out of check. So that was a beautiful sort of outcome for me, and at that point I'm very close to his other king as well. So there's his two moves. He'd be cursing and swearing on the other side of the phone, I'm sure, at this point. Can almost hear him from here. So move that forward. Might as well keep it in vicinity of my other pawn, and then boom. And now this stage I'm thinking, cool, okay, well, I'm a knight up now. Can almost hear him from here. So move that forward. Might as well keep it in vicinity of my other pawn, and then boom. And now this stage I'm thinking, cool, okay, well, I'm a knight up now. He's going to have to reset. His rooks aren't in the best positions right now, so it's going to take him a few moves to reset. He's done the right move there, get the pressure on. I'm thinking I don't want to leave my king on the back line. I need it out in the middle so I've got room to move. So he's going to have to work harder to sort of sandwich me. So which I know he's obviously going to try and do fairly quickly. working out, making sure that my queen's protected. If I put her there, which it is for a double hop, so nothing can block that transit square. There's only one square that king can move to. Which is that one. Thinking to myself, I can't ignore my king at this point. You're tempted, because I'm so close to a checkmate here, and I'm tempted just to focus on that, but I've got to split my attention between defence, because there's obviously one king left, it's game over, and he's got a queen and a rook. That's not good. If I'm not careful, he's going to, obviously his next move, if he's got two of them, will be take that pawn and park his queen right next to that rook that's taken the pawn, and then yeah, it'll be close to all over. So I've got to at least remove a move from him to make it hard. If I get him in checkmate for that particular turn, he won't be able to move his white queen. I just need a double hop. There, and it's checkmate. It's a single hop actually. So there's one king down. I'm thinking, sweet, you can't move that white queen for this turn only, because it's like your army of the coloured army of the king that's fallen almost has to bow down for that particular turn as you hand your king over, which is one move, and then you've got one more move left in your turn, which has to be from the other colour, and then yes, your subsequent turns goes back to normal, where you get two moves per turn, whatever colour you want. But he's only going to be able to move his yellow pieces at this point. That's for this turn. So he's done that. So now what I've got to do is I've got to again try and prevent him from having two moves. I'm close enough to be able to get his other king in check. So I'm just trying to work that out. I've got to future-proof my king. Like I said, I've got to make sure that I've got an exit. So this is a dangerous position because he's got two moves now, which is always dangerous. To have put my king in the middle here, not down the back, because otherwise if you're down the back, you know, these scenarios with a queen and a rook especially, or a rook and a rook, you just get marched to the back of the board one move at a time, and eventually it'll be checkmate. So now I've got an opportunity to come in here and put him in check, which I've now done through a double hop. Boom, boom. So now basically we're in range of each other's kings. We're going to be able to keep each other's kings in check. The only thing is, it's basically who can put that person in checkmate with one move versus two, because both of us are going to be tied up with one of our moves getting ourselves out of check. I'm starting to feel I'm in the better position here now, because he's only got rooks and a queen, but I've got a queen and a knight, and obviously knights are fantastic for kind of long range tricky checks. Yeah, I'm going to ease my pieces in. Ease his king to the corner. I'm really thinking at this point, man, I have just pulled one out of the bag, because if you remember, it wasn't so long ago I was down one king, he had two kings on, I had bugger all left on the board, and I made that decision, I've got to start attacking. And so I started that attack, and all of a sudden I'm starting to think, that's it, I'm going to get this. But you have to wait and see. It's over shortly. But you have to wait and see. It's over shortly. See, again, with his one move per turn, he's going to struggle to get me in checkmate. I just have to just move backwards and forwards, but his king's trapped on that back line, so he's eventually going to run out of room. So I suddenly think to myself, sweet, here's a great move, I'll jump in there. Oh no, it's not quite there yet. He's thinking, okay, how do I close this guy out? And I'm working out, I know there's a checkmate using my knight in here. Then I'm thinking to myself, oh my lord, he's given me two moves. This is just an opportunity to close for sure. So you know, he hasn't got me in check on this turn. So I'm actually started overthinking this. I'm thinking, oh, I've got two moves, I'm going to do it. So I went in there a bit gun-ho, and going for the long range. I'm trying to cover that very back square there, and my queen to go in there and put him in check, which by all accounts would have been a checkmate. Well, I would have been close to a checkmate, but what I've done is a monumental error, and I've gone and landed my knight right in front of his rook. And of course that means that's once that rook takes that knight, it's not protecting my queen, the king takes my queen, and it's just all over. And that was it. Stuffed it up right at the end. I should have had that and I would have pulled it back from the jaws of death. But look, some great strategies there. I don't know how the commentary went. You know, I'm trying to talk to it how I see it, keep it kind of natural, I guess. I hope a lot of that makes sense. So many lessons in there in that game. Definitely one of them is not to give up. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. That's a full game review for those of you that stuck all the way through. No time at all. If you got any questions about it, drop it in the comments on the video. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, that'll be great, that really does help. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so by hitting the subscribe button, and we'll just keep these videos coming. And you know, it really is our commitment to you guys to share as much of this strategy as we can, as quickly as we can, in the most simplest way we can. And that's why those thumbs up and comments in the videos help, because it's about trying to figure out how you guys are resonating with the videos we're putting out. Which ones are you digesting easier than others? These ones are long, I know they're full games, but that's why we've categorized, I guess, the YouTube channel, so that you can sort of pick and choose what you want to look and what you got time for. But anyway, that's it from me. Again, thanks for watching,